Never in my wildest dreams did I foresee my existence unraveling so rapidly, plunging into a narrative you might catch from a weary stranger in a shadowy tavern or discover in an anonymous corner of the internet. But that evening, everything I held true about my spouse, our bond, and the life we'd woven together shattered in a heartbeat. It started like any typical weekend. She casually mentioned she was off to a bachelorette bash with her girlfriends. Something light, she claimed, just a few drinks and some dancing. A standard night out, nothing out of the ordinary. She even laughed as she said, "Don't wait up, we might be out till dawn." I tried to shrug it off, to dismiss the unease creeping in. She looked breathtaking that night, almost too polished for a simple girl's outing. Her sleek red dress clung to her curves, paired with sky-high heels, freshly styled locks, and a fragrance that lingered in the air long after she'd left. I told myself I trusted her, or at least, I wanted to believe I did. Yet, a subtle disquiet gnawed at my insides. Perhaps it was the way her eyes darted away as she departed, or the missing warmth of her usual farewell peck. Something wasn't right, a faint murmur of suspicion I couldn't silence. For an hour, I sat on the sofa, the television glowing mutely, her laughter haunting my thoughts, not shared with me, but echoing from some distant place. I didn't want to become that distrustful spouse, shadowing his partner like a cheap detective from a pulp novel. But doubt has a way of twisting into obsession. I reached for her tablet, synced to her phone, and checked her location. It pinned her at an unfamiliar residence, not a lounge, not a nightclub, just an ordinary suburban house. That wasn't the plan she'd described. I told myself it might be a pre-party gathering. Maybe they were meeting at a friend's place before heading out. I refreshed the app relentlessly. Half an hour passed, then a full hour, and her marker hadn't budged. Something was deeply amiss, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. Grabbing my keys, I drove to the address. That drive is burned into my soul. My hands clenched the wheel, my heartbeat thundering as if it might rip through my chest. I had no clue what awaited me, or what I was even chasing. Answers, evidence, or just a way to quiet the lies I'd been feeding myself. When I arrived, cars crowded the street, music throbbed from the house, deep and unyielding, silhouettes swaying behind thin curtains. This wasn't a quiet girl's night. It was a raucous celebration. I walked up the driveway, each step heavy, as if I were trudging toward a truth I wasn't prepared to confront. I pressed the doorbell, half hoping no one would answer. But the door flew open, revealing a stranger clutching a red cup, his words already slurred. "Hey, you're late, man. Come on in," he shouted, slapping my shoulder like we were old pals. I stepped into a fog of pounding rhythms, sweat, cheap aftershave, and spilled liquor. Bodies danced, drank, entwined in dark corners. I scanned every face, every room, searching for her. She wasn't in the kitchen, not on the crowded dance floor, not near the open patio. Then I spotted a dimly lit corridor, a door at its end cracked open. I wish I'd turned around, driven back, spared myself the pain. But I didn't. I strode down that hallway, pushed the door wide without a second thought, and there she was, bare on a bed, with a man who wasn't me. Time halted. They froze, her eyes wide with shock as she fumbled for a sheet. It was too late. The sight branded itself into my mind. She stammered my name, an apology, something about a mistake, but her voice was lost in the ringing in my ears. I turned and left, silent. The drive home was quiet, but my thoughts roared. I didn't sleep. I perched on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, questions tearing at my heart. When she returned the next morning, her makeup smudged, she tried to explain, to plead, to beg for forgiveness. I wasn't listening. The divorce papers were already prepared. I gave her half an hour to collect her belongings, told her this house was no longer hers. She wept, swore it was meaningless, blamed the drinks, called it a reckless decision. But I had no patience for her excuses, not when she'd been with another man while I sat at home, believing in her. I told her to go, out of my house, my life, the dreams we'd built together. And I stand by that choice. The truth, no matter how shattering, liberates you. I'd rather face it alone than endure another second in a falsehood.